Hey, there he is.
Just lining up the camera.
How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
Yourself?
good, mate. Good. Are you sat down? Are you stood up?
I'm sitting.
Say,
I know I'm short. I know I'm short, but am I sitting down and staying out? Come on.
did you bring it?
No, mate, I'm a coffee boy. Look, in an IBJF cup though.
Okay, all right. That's pretty swish.
I'm on coffee.
That's pretty swish, to be honest.
It was free at the World, no gi. I didn't pay for it. That's even better.
Free at the Worlds, brilliant. Like this shirt at the Euros.
That's it. Free stuff.
There we go.
No better than free. Oh, and I got water as well.
And a water.
Coffee and water.
Mate, you're well too prepared.
I'm letting be the BN team down, aren't I, mate? Everyone's had a beer but me.
How you been?
Yeah, good. Very, very good. Self?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. How's isolation treating you?
It's my normality now. It is this normal life for me. It's going to be a change to be going back now. I've got so used to it. It's all for me. It's all about mindset, staying active, and communicating with everyone around me. The only thing I'm missing is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Apart from that, I actually quite like it. I've got a lot of time to myself, and I've got a lot of time to do what things I want to do. And yeah, okay, we can't go and visit our friends and family, but because of technology, it's quite easy to communicate. And something that I read a long time ago is talking about mindset of situations. So everything's mindset. So I'm just going to give you like a little story of how this mindset came about. Yeah. So I was reading this book and it's saying mindset will affect your happiness. And I'm like, well, if you're in a bad situation, how's that going to make you happy? And they just done this little story. Basically, I'm going to use you. So you're in a crappy job, you hate your job, but you're going on a holiday in 3 weeks, right? Every time you think about this holiday, it makes you happy and you feel good and you're happy because you're looking forward to the holiday.
Yeah.
Even though you're in a crappy job every day. So even though why you're in a crappy job, why you're thinking this holiday, it makes you feel happy. You now go on this holiday, you got 2 days left and you start thinking about your crappy job. You start feeling negative and unhappy again. But you're still on bloody holiday. So it's just everything's just mindset. Yeah, yeah. That's how I'm dealing with it.
Yeah, to be honest. Man, it's completely true though, isn't it?
And it's going to come to an end. It's going to come to an end, and hopefully I'm more flexible, a little bit stronger, and yeah, that's what I'm going to get.
What have you been doing personally in this time then?
I'll tell you what I did, and I'm saying I'm really happy with myself. I did know the metal maces. Yeah. Yeah. So I had one of them, and one of my friends gave me it a long time ago. I played around with it, and I didn't really know what I was doing with it. And then on it live on Instagram, they had this guy doing this flow workout, Lee Savage or something, flow, and he done this. And I was like, man, that's so cool. I'm gonna practice that. So I started practicing it every day. Thought I was getting quite good at it, and then I went on his website, and he was doing discount on his course. Yeah. So you become certified in still mace flow. I did it. And I qualified last night.
No way.
11:30. Yeah, it took me about like 4 or 5 days. So I'm qualified to teach. I need to brush up on.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of online courses. You know, if anyone's got one, not knocking anyone, but blue belt online courses and all that stuff. Like I don't really believe in that. But this course, I think, was better than doing a seminar because I could go back, I could go forward. Really worthwhile. So I've been doing mace, kettlebells, stretching, yoga. Yeah. And yours run, but I'm not the biggest fan of running.
Nah.
I know running's good for cardio and stuff, but I find it tightens up my calves, especially with jiu-jitsu. You don't want to have tight calves and everything.
It does the same to me, to be honest.
Yeah, like I'd rather do some sprints, but even then, it's like you're going to do running and sprinting. Your cardio is going to up, but then your calves get tighter, your ankles get tighter, and then that ain't going to help us in jiu-jitsu when we get leg locks and everything else.
Exactly. Mate, it leads me into the first question then, which a lot of people want to know, which is what got you involved in martial arts and when was it? When was the start for you?
Okay, so like everyone always, I love living. It's one of my favourite questions when I listen to people how they got into martial arts. So mine started really young. So my dad is a very old school man. He's a physical builder and everything else, and growing up he had quite a tough reputation. So growing up in my house, it didn't matter how smart you were, how educated you are. All what mattered was you're strong and tough, right? So I had a younger brother as well. I'm not a big guy. I'm quite small. I'm not. My brother's much stockier and stronger. So my dad always gave my brother, oh, he's strong, he's stocky. Like, even though I was the older one, so me and my brother always fought indoors anyway. Then we watched Rocky, we watched Bruce Lee films, and we loved all that stuff. And we used to practice on each other, and we used to have proper fights. I was talking like 5 or 6 years old. We just fought every day. So no training or nothing. We just used to fight. And a little funny add-on, one of my family friends used to come round, and when we got older, he said, do you know what, we used to call you the crazy kids. I said, what? He goes, whenever we come round, all you and your brother used to do was fight. You didn't want to play nothing but fight. He goes, you kids were crazy kids like this. He goes, my mum and dad used to say you were the crazy kids. So that's the first part of, like, and WWE, we used to wrestle. And I know WWE is fake, but we used to actually really wrestle, so it helps you develop and get stronger. So then my dad had enough of us fighting in the house, and he said, you're coming judo. So we went to judo club, and it was Jay's Judo Club in Dagenham. I was about 8 years old. I did that for about 5 years. Won a few tournaments like the Essex Open and stuff like that. I was a kid's belt. I think it was orange belt. And we moved house. So my dad stopped taking me. And I actually thought, like, oh, man, it must be really far. Mate, we moved half hour away. My dad just didn't want to take me there. In my head, I thought, we moved really far. We moved from Dagenham to Russ Green, which ain't far. So judo was my first martial arts. And then at 14, my friend said, oh, there's a boxing club. I was like, yeah, I love Mike Tyson. I want to be a boxer. So I went to the boxing club, and I naturally just took to it. You know, I was like, my first spar, I was the smallest guy there, but I just had heavy hands, and I did really well. I was like, right, I want to be a boxing world champion. That's it. So, I trained every day. I used to go running around the lake. I was very, very dedicated straight away. I had my first boxing match. I won that one. Then I had a loss, and then I had to fight this guy called Paul Cosgroves. And I'm now about 17. I'm at college. He goes to the same college as me, so I'm now got to have a fight with someone who goes to my same college. So everyone at the college goes, oh, you're fighting Paul. He's undefeated. I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to lose, because everyone in my college is going to lose. I beat him. I knocked him out in round 2. And a quite funny story was I was like a flyweight, but in boxing it's different from MMA. So I must have weighed like 56 kilos or something like that. And one of the coaches, Sean, really good guy, from Dagenham Amateur Boxing Clubs. It was Dan O'Sullivan and Sean, and they run it. And one was a police officer, one brother was a fireman, and they run Dagenham Amateur Boxing Club, and they used to get kids off the street. And he said to me, look, you're flyweight. You're never going to knock anyone out, so just box, just win on points. And I remember walking back after I knocked him out, I said, well, you said I'll never knock anyone out. Really cocky.
Nice.
So when I went in college, I was really thought I was the man, yeah. And then at 18, I had some more boxing fights. I was doing really well. I was aiming to go for the ABAs. And I remember this really clear. It was on Remembrance Sunday. And I didn't do the 1 minute silence. I was on the punching bag in the gym, and I tore my muscle in my back. And then I went on and on and on. That went on for 3 years. I actually pushed a disc out my back, so I gave up boxing. Yeah. Gave up awful. And I see this chiropractor guy, and he was like, oh, just the best not to train, and worst advice I ever got given, because all the muscles around my back and everything now deteriorated. So yeah, it was hurting more. I actually was doing landscape gardening as a job as well.
Oh, okay.
And bricklaying. That's what I was at college for. So I was doing bricklaying at college and working and training boxing, obviously all physical. So I had to give up my job, and I ended up going into retail because I couldn't do physical work. My back was in so much pain. And then I found Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I watched Royce Gracie in the UFC like we all do. And how it came about, my friend went to me, there's a guy who could beat Mike Tyson. I said, no one can beat Mike Tyson. And he said, Royce Gracie could beat him. I said, let me see this guy. And I watched him. I said, could, you know? Because Tyson don't know how to fight on the floor. Royce could beat Mike Tyson. I need to find this, right? I said, where does it? He goes, only in America. So I then, I'm coming back through Dagenham, and I see this place, and it says the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy. And I walk in there, and I've said in all Pride, no Pride DVDs, all the old school stuff, and Gracie instructionals. So this must be about 2002, 2002, 2003. So I'll go in there, I said, I want to buy some DVDs. And I said, and I really would get, he goes, we teach it in here. I was like, no way. I said, okay. I got a bit of a problem. I've got a bad back. He goes, just come and learn technique. I said, all right, I'll do technique. I never about to spar or nothing, but I really love to do the technique. Mark Walder was his name. Really, really one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. Really good soul. And he went to America, learned off the Gracie Academy, brought it back, and he was teaching as a blue belt. At the time, the only other people in the country really were Maurizio and people like that. I don't even know if Braulio and Roger will come over. I think they come over a bit later. So Mark started teaching me. He was under Hoist Gracie at the time. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting good. But do you know what happened? My back started getting stronger as well. And I was like, oh, my back's getting strong. It's jiu-jitsu done. And I started. And I went to this physio and he said, Spence, you know what? If you strengthen up your back, do weights and exercises, you could do full sport. I was like, I'm going to go for this. So I did this. So from going in there, being sort of saying I only can do technique, I can't spar, I started sparring and I got the bug. I then done my first jiu-jitsu comp, which would have been, what was it? I've done it at white belt. It was in Birmingham, Gracie Invitational.
Oh, okay.
This was before the IBJJF didn't even have nothing in UK at the time. So I did that and I won it as white belt, and I fought a guy called Ian Malone who ended up being part of the same academy, and I won gold. And then that was the bug start. I was like, okay, I want to do this seriously now. I want to start winning tournaments, and that's how I got into it.
That's
you know,
how you got into it. And then so on from there. So you were training with Mark Walder, and that was local to you, correct?
Yeah, that was really, really local. It was like about a 20-minute bus drive. He had his own little academy teaching there. He obviously was a blue belt, and then he started going to purple brown, and eventually he turned over and he left Hoist and went over to Maurizio Gomez. So then that was Gracie Barha and everything else. He had the options of training with Roger and the Gracie Barha lot. And that was really good times. We had a really great time. There was a really good academy. A lot of them guys have spanned out and are now teaching now, like Luke Lamood, Michael Russell. They all come from that same generation. Adam Edwards. There's a lot of the old school guys around. So I know Mark, Jude Samuels, and Rick Young were the first black belts under Maurizio in the UK. And that was cool. And then I went to a trip to Gracie Barra in Brazil. And that's where I picked up my blue belt off of Carlos Gracie. Now that I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
You know, that like I went out there as a white belt, got given my blue belt. Obviously, I'm really glad I got my blue belt because I was wearing a red gi in Brazil, like in 2000, in the 2000s. Mate, all the Brazilians wanted to kill me, man. I was a gringo in a red gi.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, I know it's common now, but back then it was like even black was a bit like, whoa. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, times have really changed. And because only then you had really like corral, vitamins and minerals. There was only so many gis. And it was the first time anyone sort of really wore red gi. And,
you don't even see them now. You don't even see red gis now, really, unless it's Christmas.
Not really often, do you? It was such a cool gi, man. It was such a cool gi. It fell apart. I wore it so much. And I've competed in the first World Championships as a blue belt. And what is really mad, so I got my blue belt in Brazil, and about a week later I went and fought in the World Championships, which you couldn't do now because you have to do it all online, right?
Yeah.
Back then, it looked like a telephone box sort of thing. And you go in there and you get an ID card, IBJF, and you literally pay cash. Right. And then they register for the tournament. And I got my blue belt and then competed, and I lost on points, but it was my first World Championships. Yeah, and I just jumped in. It was such a cool experience.
I bet, mate. I bet. Just really quickly, there's loads of people that have come on. Neto's on here.
No worries.
So we sort of say hello to a few of the guys. Cameron. There's to be honest, there's two Pat's on here. There's too many people to mention, to be honest. Lewis is on here. JJ's on here. Guys, I just want to say, at any point, just chuck in some questions. I'll try and get to those questions as quick as I can, and ask Spence. But we'll be sort of floating in and out, but speaking to each other, and then sort of speaking to the people interactively with their questions. But what I wanted to ask you was, so you found Jiu-Jitsu 2002, 2003. First competition was sort of 2003, 2004, white belt. Won it. Obviously got your blue belt in Brazil. When after that, was it that you moved on to MMA? Because obviously MMA was like a big part of your life, right? I'm not saying that jiu-jitsu isn't, but that's what you were really established in.
It was a real funny. So when we watched Hoist Gracie, that's why we done jiu-jitsu originally, because of MMA, right? But then you fall in love of the sport of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So like MMA went put onto the side because I love jiu-jitsu. My goal was to be a world champion. I wanted to be a world champion and a European champion, and I medalled purple belt at the Worlds, brown belt at the Worlds as an adult, and that was my game. I was focusing that, and I remember I medalled at brown belt at Rooster because I was super light at the time at the Worlds. Now it's moved to America. I'm trying to think of the date. 2009 Worlds. I took bronze at the Worlds, and then I was teaching at the same time. So I was teaching in a sports hall, and I was also working. And I was finding it really hard to fund going to the Worlds, right? Because the Worlds was in California. Yeah. You'd have to pay flight, hotel. And that year I wanted to do the Europeans, I wanted to do the Pan Ams. And I just physically couldn't afford it. And this guy come into the gym and went, I'm looking for an MMA fight now. And it was EFC, the show. And the guy's name, Ian. Okay. I'll tell you a bit about him later. He was basically a doorman who decided to run MMA shows but didn't know nothing about MMA, right? So we know where this is going. So he did it over your way. Over Kent, his first show.
Oh, really?
A show called EFC. Yeah, I'm trying to think what venue he used. I can't remember now. One of the nightclubs, anyway. Like, I can't remember the name of the nightclub. Anyway, so he comes in and says, "I'm looking for a guy around 62 kilos to fight." And I went, "I'll do it," like that. Right? I've not trained no MMA. I went, "I'll do it." He goes, "What, you do MMA?" I said, "I'll do now." So I said, "How much I get paid?" He goes, "Just ticket sales." I figured in my head, I've got all my students, I've got loads of friends, this could pay for the Wells. I'll do this MMA fight and I will just pay for, I use MMA money to pay for this jiu-jitsu contest. So that was the plan. So I'll tell you what, Cam fought on the same night actually. Cam fought on the same show on EFC.
Yeah, they're saying it was at Zen's.
He fought. That's it, yeah. So Cam was on there and he fought one of my students at the time, but my student weren't really ready for him. He was just helping me out to get on me. So I rang up my brother and I said, "Ross, it's time to start doing boxing again." He said, "What are you doing boxing for? You do jiu-jitsu?" I said, "Time to get my hands good." So I brought my brother in, started just doing jiu-jitsu. I had no wrestling, no team, just me. So I was trained for it. So we get to the fight, and I'm fighting this guy called Will Butler, who I'm meant to be fighting. So it's in this club, and the day before, I booked my flight to go to the Wells and all this stuff because that's what the money's paid for. I made £2,000 in ticket sales. So that's quite a lot of money back then. Yeah. My first fight, I'm going to make £2,000 in ticket sales. So I'm like, that's all. Promoter rings me up and goes, "Your opponent's pulled out," right? So the first thing I said is, "Am I going to pay for the Worlds going jiu-jitsu?" Right? So I'm like, down, like, fucking hell. So the guy went, "So wait, I'm going to get you a fight." So the next day, I goes, "I've got you a match." This John, this guy called John, I think his name was John anyway. So he said, "Little problem. He's a lot heavier than you." I said, "What's a lot?" Right, so I'm weighing 61 kilos. I'm not exaggerating. He was 78 kilos, right? But ripped, right? Not steroided up, but just ripped. Like 6'2" as well, right? And my guys in the corner, I had one of the local lads, Ricky, and a guy called Dev. And they're like, "Mate, that's a lot of weight to give away." I said, "Sold 2,000 tickets. I've got for it. I need the money." Right, so this gets better than that. So the promoter comes in and went, "He's happy to fight you, but he wants to change the rules." I mean, what? Well, this is how dodgy this show. He went, "No striking on the ground." Said, "All right." He said, "And no leg locks." I went, "All right, fair enough." All right, he goes, they come back again and went, "What about no takedowns in the first round?" I went, "No, mate." But I said, "I'm giving away like nearly 15 kilos. So this is no exaggeration." So we go in there, right? So he said, "No strikes on the ground." This is what they said. They only done that for my fight, pro fight. So I go for my takedown, and he's holding the cage, right? The ref's not telling him to let go of the cage, right? The way he's holding one, he's punching me in the side of the face, right? And where he's tall, he's got a lot of bloody leverage, right? So I'm thinking, we had a proper battle. First round ended. I went back to my corner, and I'm an honest guy. Like, I was a bit like disheartened in the fact that I expected to use my jiu-jitsu, take this guy down and sub him. But where he was holding on the cage and heavy, I couldn't get him down. And obviously he's been punching me in the face. So I went back to my corner. I can't take him down. I was like, "Spence, he's holding the cage." I said, "Well, you go round there and bang on the cage. He shouldn't be doing that." So, all right. So I went down. This time, it doesn't, right? So I get a guillotine, I pull back on it, and he pops his head out, and he cracks me with a 1-2, right? But they said no striking on the ground, right? So I went, this is the middle of the fight, it's on YouTube. I push him off and go to the ref. I thought he said no strikes on the ground. He went, no, we're allowing them now. I just had the biggest smile on my face. I was like, really? So I switched him over. I got a man, ground and pound him. He turned and I choked him. Sadly, that guy actually died years later. Not from MMA, he died. I remember looking at a picture, and where I'm on his back, he looks like twice the length of me. Does that make sense? Because I'm on his back, and I just look like this little dude.
Well, you think he's 6'2"? You're what? 5'7"?
5'4".
5'4".
5'4".
Man,
mate, and I'm not exaggerating. There is pictures, and you can see the height difference. Like, would I ever do that later on in my career? Of course I wouldn't. It's ridiculous. It was just showed you how corrupt the game was on these small shows. They didn't care about safety or nothing like that. They changed the rules 3 times. And then my second MMA fight. This is some guys, especially around the area, are going to know about this one. So basically, what happened? I had that fight, and I now was fighting that Will Butler again, the same guy. So I'm like, okay, I'll get the fight in this time. And he pulls out, and then the promoter rings me up and says, "Well, change your opponent. This is the same show, EFC. You're fighting a guy called Ben Hajir." Now, we go back to Mark Walder days. I used to train jiu-jitsu at Mark. Ben Hajir used to train with me. Michael Russell used to train with me, and Adam Edwards trained with me. But what happened? Adam Edwards, Ben Hajir, Michael Russell set off and started doing their own jiu-jitsu, the MMA clinic, right? So when they said Ben, I said, I don't know why Ben wants to fight me. Me and him used to train together. We used to be friends. I've called it out. They said they want you. I was like, really? So I now took it really personal.
Of course,
So, like, I was like, right. So I went back to my team. I said, we're going to train like fucking beasts. There's no way I'm losing this year. And plus, they were a local jiu-jitsu club to me, and MMA club, so they're like rivalry. So I really took it personal. I was like, why would someone I train with want to fight me? I don't, because it ain't like a jiu-jitsu match. It's an MMA fight. You're trying to do damage, right? So it was in Liquid in Romford Town Centre. So MMA clinics in Romford. I'm in Raynham. You can imagine, man, this was a sellout. Claudio da Silva was main event. I was co-main event. So I was like, so then through the grapevine, a lot of people that knew us both kept coming back to me saying, you know, even Mark, who was my instructor at the time, a lot of them guys, like, they think this is a bad fight you because he's got really good stand-up and your jiu-jitsu's quite even. And I said, I'll be all right with stand-up, knowing how long I've done my boxing, And I think, even though I told all these people that I've done boxing, I don't think they realised for how long. So the fight basically happened, and then we was going into Nando's in Romford, and then seemingly come up to shake my hand, and I was like, mate, don't, you know what I'm like, I'm quite fiery. I just looked at him and went, listen, we ain't shaking hands, you called me out. Like, I don't know why someone I trained with called me out. And I see his face change, like, oh, fuck, man. Like, I can feel my body language. Like, some people like being friendly. I think it gives them security. I like that intensity. Like, you're not my friend until after the fight. And then basically the fight happened. And the first round, he hits me with a right hand, and it just does nothing. I grab his head, and I hit him with an uppercut. This is on YouTube as well, when he drops. And then from them, I just knee on belly, ground and pound, he turns, I choke him out. I then get a bit of adrenaline rush and call out his coach and go a bit lunatic and act a bit unprofessional. But it was all the build-up.
Yeah, of course,
So years to come, Michael, Ben, all that end up sorting things out with Mark, and they all get on again, and I speak to him, and everyone's cool now. And I remember saying to Ben, and I said, listen, it weren't an issue with you. He's like, man, I got just told to fight you. I didn't call you out. I said, well, that's how I took it, man. I said, my teammates who changed clubs then asked for a fight with me. I took it personally. He goes, when you hit me, I thought someone threw a bottle into the cage. I went, nah, there's enough.
Nice.
So, yeah, that was the first two matches I had. And then I do end up fighting Will Butler. I beat him for the EFC title. It was a small title. And I'm doing really well. And then CFC pops up, and they ask me to fight on their show. Now, I get a match on there, and the guy who runs EFC says, I want you to fight on my show because he knows I'm a big ticket seller. And I turn around and say to him, this is the guy who runs the EFC over Kentway, the one I said he was a doorman, right? I said, I can't fight on your show because it interferes with this show. And he goes, listen, when you fight on my show, I sort of own what you do now. I said, sorry?
Man.
I said, no, mate. Yeah, it was a bit of like leaning on me sort of thing, yeah. So I ring up my mate who's a friend with him, and I said, man, he's saying like I can't fight on this other show. He's done this for me, got me the title shot, and I sort of owe him. I said, listen, I know. He said, listen, Spence, this guy is a naughty geezer. He runs all the doors, and he's the sort of person that like kidnap people. And I went, listen, mate, I don't give a fuck. I said, I ain't being controlled, man. It's my third fight. I know people tell me what I can do. So he then rings me up and goes, come into your gym, I'm getting your belt. I was like, fuck. Like, I don't know what's going on, man. I thought, mate, I don't care, like, how bad this man is or what he does. I ain't getting told what to do. So he pulls up in his car, I just walk out there with his belt. I was frightened through his car window and go, have the fucking belt, and just storm off. I never got kidnapped and nothing happened, but that's a true story.
Shit, he wanted that belt then. Jesus.
I think he basically got me in like a martial arts magazine. He done some things for me, but then it was like he controlled me.
Right.
And he then done the same show, didn't sell enough tickets, and the show closed and it disappeared. I then started fighting in CFC, and I won their title. And then I know this is going to come up, and then basically I had the big knockout with Corey Tate that put me on the map.
Yeah.
That was for the UCMA title. Now Cam was talking to you yesterday of the timeline was out.
Yeah, I thought that was.
So I knocked out Corey Tate, and like all the limelight was on me. It went to my head a little bit, and then I took on Giorgio Andrews afterwards. And Giorgio Andrews is the guy, really good guy, fought Frank Shamrock's son on UCMA years ago.
Oh, okay.
And when he ended up retiring 13-0, I was his 13th fight. So I took the fight. He ended up beating me by points. It was like he just played a smart game. He didn't play jiu-jitsu with me. He wouldn't strike with me. Every time I caught him with a shot, he'd take me down. Very intelligent fight. He comes from London Shoot Fighters, and them guys, like I've trained them myself. Them guys get their tactics and game right. It was mostly the wrong fight for me to take at the time. I don't think he could have subbed me or knocked me out, but he played the right game. Yeah. And then, so I had that loss, and then I fought Cam straight after.
Yeah, I thought the Corey Tate fight was before Cam's first fight.
Yeah, and then I fought Cam. You know, Cam told his
way mate. We need to hear it from your side, right? It makes sense because it always makes.
Yeah, do you know what? Cam,
we got that little private joke, you know, about it, which always makes me laugh. But,
so, like, you know, Cam's my teammate now, and I actually like him. And before I say any outcome, now he's a whole different fighter. You know, he's on a different level now. I wouldn't want to fight him now. He's on, you know, he trains out with you guys, Greg Jackson, and his level's gone up. But back then, like, I just beat Corey Tate. I was on fire, man. I think I was like 9-2. Like, guys get on UFC nowadays with them records. I was 9-2. I'd finished most of the guys by submission or KO, and the only people that beat me was like that Giorgio Andrews and people like that. So when they asked me, I was like, how many fights this guy? They said it's his first fight. So I thought, my first rule is like, it might be his first fight, but I don't underestimate anyone. So I trained like a nutter as usual. And you remember, because I'm like 8-2 or 9-2 now, I'm like, a couple more wins, I could get UFC. So like, I can't afford a loss now. So we was at the weigh-ins, and me and Cam faced off, and it's the first time I didn't even really, I remember him from the EFC show, and he said to me, this is personal. So I walked away, and one of my corner guys said, what did he say to you? I said, he said, it's personal. I said, he don't even fucking know me. I said, but I'm going to choke him unconscious for that. So we end up having a fight, and I end up choking Cam. I know now Cam had some issues going on in his life, and that is part of fighting. When I knocked out Corey Tate, I actually had a torn meniscus in my knee, and I tore my meniscus. But I'm like, you've got to own. If you go to fight, you've got to own it. If I go to fight with an injury, or I'm mentally not ready, that's my choice to go and fight. So if I choose to go and fight, if I'm not mentally right or with injuries and I lose, that's my issue. Not my, do you get? Does that make sense? Totally, yeah. Like, and I own my losses. There's guys that have beat me. There's guys that have beat me, and I know I had loads of shit going on in my life, but that's mine to deal with. You know, you have to switch on the night, and if you don't and you lose, that's down to you.
Yeah.
So I always think you got to own your wins and your losses, and I never like these people. Someone's losing, they blame their coach, or I had a bad camp, I had a bad weight cut. If you had a bad weight cut, that's down to you. If you had a bad camp, that's down to you. You know, everything you do will affect the outcome. So you've got to plan and prep for your fight. If you don't do them properly and you lose, that's down to you. And that's the way I look at everything. Even my losses, you know, my biggest losses have always been underestimating people. Like when I fought Corey the second time, he knocked me out. I was winning the fight, all good. But I got married 5 weeks before the fight, and I stayed out there for my honeymoon. So I only had a 4-week training camp. In my head, I was like, I've already knocked him out. He ain't going to sub me. No big deal. And obviously, he's had a loss. So he's going to be training like a lunatic to get revenge, which the reason I didn't come in prepared was I underestimated him, and I got comfortable in my life and was enjoying my honeymoon and everything else. That's down to me. He's done what he had to do. He went in there to get the win and KO'd me, and that's my fault for not preparing properly. So I'm a big believer in all that. Same as jiu-jitsu comps, you know. We both talked about it, is sometimes you go jiu-jitsu comps and you end up chatting with people, being friendly, and then next minute you got to switch on for your fight, and you're like, oh mate, I was being too friendly, I weren't switched on. Like, come on, that's down to us to do that. That's not an excuse. If you can't switch on, like, don't use that as an excuse why we didn't do it. You've got to make sure you're switched on, ready to go. We're fighters, and you know, if I walked out of my house tomorrow and someone jumps on me, I ain't gonna go, one second, mate, I've had a bit of a tough week. You know, I'm not switched on. Like, it's on, man. Let's get ready to go. Do you know what I mean? I think that's another thing. As martial artists, we should always stay fighting fit and ready.
Yeah, I agree. Who was your biggest inspiration in MMA? That's a question asked by Kaiser BJJ, Pat.
Oh, BJ Penn. BJ Penn.
Yeah.
I love. He had, like, when you're a jiu-jitsu guy, you love BJ Penn. He had great jiu-jitsu and great hands. He was my favourite as well, mate. And you know what? Like, we all knew he was quite lazy in training, but he was so technically good, he would get away with it. Like, if you look at who beat him, he beat, like, GSP had a tough fight with him and Matt Hughes, but he beat Matt Hughes the other time. But he'd openly admit that, like, he didn't take his diet too seriously and he didn't train. Like, the guy was just a raw fighter, and I loved that. I really loved that about him, you know. So he was one of my inspirations. I did like GSP as well. And then over the Pride side, I liked Vanderlei back in when he was in Pride. But when he come to the UFC, he weren't the same fighter.
Nah, he wasn't. He changed, didn't he? I think the rule set really suited him over in Pride, I think.
And Pride weren't drug tested.
And that as well, right? Do you know what?
Do that.
It's interesting because it's one of the other things I wanted to talk to you about, which was steroids and performance enhancing drugs. So first one is, have you ever taken any?
No.
And secondly, how do you feel about guys that take them, and your opinion on steroids being used in combat sports?
Right. Okay. Like, I get if someone's taking something, like, and they're not competing and they want to use something. Like, it all depends what level of steroid. I'm not talking like test, or maybe something that would make you produce more red blood cells to help with injuries out of season. I get that, but especially in MMA, like when John Jones knocked out Dan Cormier, like, that head kick by taking steroids, how much more power did he generate? Yeah, so you're making your body more powerful than it naturally would be. You could actually kill someone.
Yeah.
So in MMA, like, definitely a no-no. I know we're getting a lot of tested in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I know they're testing the adults, but I would really like them to test the masters, right? Because let's be real, right? I'm masters free. Our testosterone levels drops now, right? My testosterone levels dropping now. For me to get the biggest gain now, if I took testosterone or something now, it benefited me more than when I was younger, because I'm older and I'm not producing it so much. And you look at some of them guys who can hurt, even some of them 50-year-olds, man, they are jacked, right? And if your body's producing less testosterone, how can you get that jacked? Like, let's be real. And jiu-jitsu's a lot of cardio as well. So jiu-jitsu's cardio, and you're 50 years old, and you're jacked. Like, fuck, man.
Well, what would your answer be to people whose common response is to why not just let everyone do steroids?
All right, do you know what? Yes, it would be a fair playing field, but then obviously some people abuse testosterone, and then you have people having kidney failure, liver failure. Then you've got a whole different, like, medical side of things. Do you get what I mean? Like, you remember some of the top professional athletes use doctors and all this stuff, but not everyone has access to that. So you're not people are going to be buying them from people at the gym and stuff like that. So that's going to come a problem.
So yours is more health of the athlete is a reason why you would say it's not good to do everybody on the same.
Yeah, it's still like cheating and performance enhancing, but I think if you let everyone do it, then you can have some medical issues as well. Like, you know what's gonna, because like let's say someone's taking steroids, they've got a big competition in January, but they've also got a big competition in June, right? Are they going to come off the steroids or stay on, right? Because like if you stay on too long, you're going to damage your body and stuff. So if you come off too early, your testosterone level is going to drop again. And so I think people will end up abusing it because of competitions, because you end up staying on it too long. I think that's just my opinion. I don't really know loads about steroids. But
what about weight cutting? Obviously, they've been talking about changing the rules with weight cutting, similar to boxing, with the amount of weight that you can put back on before you go in the ring to fight. They're potentially looking to change that.
I think that's a good idea.
In MMA.
That's a good idea. Like, weight cutting ain't so much the issue, it's the water cutting.
Yeah.
When people start cutting water and, you know, like...
What's the most you've had to do for a fight?
Well, because I'm a flyweight, I was always very strict. I'd walk around at 62 and then I think it was 57.5. But I'd mostly lose body fat down to about 60. So what's that, 57, 58? 3 kilos of water, which ain't a lot, but then it is for my body size. It's like if you've got a pint glass and you take so much percentage of water out to a small glass. And I think that's where a lot of MMA fighters go wrong.
Yeah.
They look at, like, say they're a flyweight and they're going, oh, my friend, he's a middleweight. He loses like 8 kilos. Yeah, but he's a bigger human being. He's holding more water than you. So it's a lesser percentage. Now, if you look at a lot of the deaths and stuff, a lot of them have been the lighter guys. Like, I think a couple of flyweights have died over doing water cuts because they're trying to do the same sort of water cut as bigger people. Like, if a light heavyweight loses 8 kilos, it's not that much mostly of his body. But to a smaller unit guy, it's a lot more.
Yeah. And when you've had to cut weight for fights before, how have you done it?
Do you know what? The best results I had, I'd done the Mike Dulcie diet. You know, the guy used to do all the, I just got his book, How to Get Shredded in 3 Weeks. So what I would do, I obviously wouldn't leave it 3 weeks. He used to do shredded in 3 weeks, but I would make that 6 weeks, just make the portions bigger at the beginning. And I'd slowly come down, and then I would do a water cut. And one of my friends who sponsored my club, a guy called Lee Pearman, a fantastic guy, really supported my club. He used to have a hot tub, much better than a sauna, because a sauna cooks you, where a hot tub sort of like you just sweat out. We used to watch the telly, and now I used to do it like that. I've never had a problem making weight, apart from when I fought Corey the second time, which is absolutely mental, because that was at bantamweight, and I can make flyweight. That was because I weren't taking the fight seriously. Yeah. So it shows you, like if you're a guy and you don't make weight, like, you're a professional athlete. That's your job. Like, you've got 6-week training camp. I understand if people take fights at 3 weeks notice, 2 weeks notice. But if you've had a full training camp and don't make weight, like, you need to do a checklist of what you're not doing right, because that's poor, man.
How was when you were training professionally and fighting professionally? What was your average week of training? What did it look like?
Okay, so it changed over the years. I'll go into detail of what I did, but a mistake that I made, and I'll say this for the younger generation of MMA fighters, and sometimes we end up focusing on one martial art more than another. I'll give you an example. Is when I first done MMA, my submission was my strong point, but I had good hands. But because I knocked out Corey Tay and I dropped a few other, even though the submissions on my record, I actually dropped them with punches first and then finished them with a submission. I had a lot of people blowing smoke up my ass, going, oh, if you hit people, you'll knock people out. So then I started pushing more of the boxing, and I started neglecting my jiu-jitsu. So over the course of 3 or 4 years of MMA, my jiu-jitsu was not as good as it was earlier on, even though I've been training longer, because I was just doing the bare minimum. I was doing a lot more boxing and a lot more wrestling. Once I got it right, I would, oh God, I should try not to lunatic. I would wake up and I'd mostly do heel runs in the morning, say Monday morning, do heel runs. I then would go MMA sparring, midday. I trained to different places. It'd be Team Titan, maybe different over the years, London Shoot Fighters, or at my place I'd been sparring in. I'd do midday sparring, and then at night I would either do a Pacific martial arts like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or boxing or Thai boxing. And then another day I would do strength and conditioning. And then in the evening, again, another Pacific martial arts. To also the end of my MMA career, I really was enjoying wrestling. I was doing a lot more wrestling.
Yeah.
I think it played a big factor in it, and that wrestling's helped me a lot. Now I'm competing back in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Were you a guy that enjoyed heavy sparring or technical sparring? Where would you stand on the sparring front?
Right now, as I've got older, it's more the technical. Back in the day, when we had our first academy, we didn't have a cage or nothing. It literally was in a bar room. Right? So I started my first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy, stroke MMA, was in a bar room with some mats. So we had no cage, no nothing. And I produced some really good fighters. I had like Dan Lewison, Carl Orris, Makunga, Danny Eli, Dominic Woodin was there. We had loads of guys who were like 5-0, 4-0, 6-0. But what happened? We all retired at the same sort of stage, or people went to other clubs. Yeah. So going back, we used to spar. We used to go to Rayleigh, about an hour drive, hire out a cage there, and we just used to have a war. It was a war, like a proper. If you got knocked out, you got knocked out. And lucky I had the heaviest hands out for size. But yeah, like I used to even jump in with like Makunga, who was a middleweight, and we used to throw down. Johnny Williams, Cole, these guys, we used to have proper wars, and sometimes they were more of a war than the actual MMA fight.
Yeah.
Like if you watched it, you're like, whoa, man, busted up noses, people getting slammed, and mate, I could tell you some mad. I remember one time these guys, they come from a wrestling club. They said, "Can we come sparring with you?" Some Eastern European guys. I went, "Yeah, cool." And one of them was a Greco-Roman wrestler, so he's in the guard. He throws headbutts. He starts headbutting. I'm like, whoa, you can't headbutt, mate. You can't headbutt. And that's something. Another thing in clubs, like sometimes you get people come from outside in sparring. Yeah. You've got to tell them what the rules are. Like some people throw elbows and stuff. I had an incident in my gym maybe 2 years ago. One of my fighters, really tough guy, like good guy, really good friend of mine as well. Brown belt jiu-jitsu. And this guy comes in, starts sparring my guys, going there, and he goes, "Let me spar with him." So this guy was taking a bit of liberties with people. I said, "Yeah, cool." So my guy sparred with him, and my mate's got him in, my student's got him in turtle, and he starts throwing punches. And this guy turned down and goes, bam, elbows him straight in the face, cuts his eye, right? But the guy he did it to is a lunatic, right? But he's like the nicest guy in the world, but a lunatic. You know what? One of them ones?
Yeah.
Mate, he just gets up and does downward elbows, soccer kicks him, just irons his gazer out. And then rings me that night and goes, "Am I still allowed to train you?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Of course you can train my gym. He's the one who's like throwing elbows." I said, you just got him right." "Oh, cool, Smith."
Mate, crazy.
So it's some great stories. And I'm going to tell us mad. So my brother's been my boxing coach for many years. And me and my brother are opposites. I'm really quiet. Ross is the wild one. So we got a call to fight in Wales. Chrissy Edwards. Okay, so I had to fight Chrissy Edwards in Wales, and the guy was, at the time I didn't realise how good he was. He was an up-and-comer, real good. He's ended up on Cage Warriors and all this stuff. And I said, "Yeah, I'll take the fight, 3 weeks notice." I said, "Boys, road trip, we're all going Wales, right?" So it was called Valley of the Kings. So we go to Valley, they put us in this lovely Hilton hotel or whatever it is. So we have to fight. I lose. I dominate the guy first round, dominating, and I'm beating him up, and he just does this slick triangle from nowhere. And I was a brown belt at the time. When you're brown belt with jiu-jitsu and you get subbed, I was, "Oh, Spencer got subbed." Yeah. It's very different in MMA when there's punching going on. Do you get what I mean? Yeah, totally. So afterwards, we went to the after party in Cardiff, right? So we all getting drunk. My brother is a lunatic, right? So we're all drunk in this nightclub. And it works out. Do you remember Dirty Sanchez?
Yeah, the program, yeah.
Right, so Dirty Sanchez used to be like, what's the other people, the American ones? I like them, and they do the...
Jackass.
Jackass, I like Jackass, right? So one of them's DJing in the club, so my brother sees him and runs up to the DJ stand and goes, "Turn the music down." So the whole club goes quiet. He goes, "I challenge you." He's drunk, right? So he's come out something really stupid. "I challenge you to Jackass." And the guy goes, what do you want to do then? The guy goes, "Think of something crazy and I will do it." And we see who can do the most. My brother goes, "I'll have a shit," and we see who can eat it. And the guy goes, "No, you're fucking mental, mate." And everyone starts booing the Jackass guy, yeah, because he's meant to be crazy, right? So my brother's jumping around the club like going, "I'll beat Jackass!" Right there. It gets better, right? So know how, like, when people are drunk, like, they get thoughts in their head. So my brother's now got this thought in his head. So we go to the bathroom. There's a guy in there going, "A wee," right? This is no exaggeration. And no urinal tablets. Yeah. the guy's wheeling on that. My brother reaches it and starts chewing up and goes, "Who's a real jackass now?" Oh. And I'm like, Ross, that's got wee on it and it's bleach. And the guy who's weeing on it gets freaked out and goes, "What are you doing?" Like, I've just weed on that. Don't eat it, sir. Don't eat it, sir. Being really polite. My brother going, all bubbling at the mouth. Right, so we end up going back to the hotel, right? So, like, on these fight shows, you want to have, like, your corner in your room. Yeah. My whole team crashed in the room, right? So we had Ian, there's about 8 of us in one room, right? So my brother's come back drunk. So he decides to run around the hotel naked, go up and down in the lift, a glass lift naked. And we're in the Hilton, right? Or wherever it was, something like that. He then lets off all the fire extinguishers and terrorizes everyone. We then quickly get out of the hotel. Oh, he jumps in bed naked with some of the students and freaks them out, right? In naked. We leave the hotel. I didn't get a phone call of the guy who runs that Valley of the Kings in Wales and said, "Spence, right, the hotel's complained saying you've just done loads of fire extinguishers, wrecked the hotel." He goes, "I used to manage rock bands. You guys have just trashed the hotel. You're going to have to pay for this." Right? So I never did pay for it. Oh, mate. Man. But my brother then was banned. So when I got to Cage Warriors, my brother was banned. He was never allowed to stay in the same hotel. He'd have to pay for his own hotel. And yeah, because otherwise I'd get kicked off shows. You get what I mean? Yeah, that was some mad stories, man. So me and my brother don't actually go out together because he's a lunatic.
He's a lunatic. Do you know what? Just cracking on to the rest of your MMA career, because I want to get onto your BJJ career. But I thought one of the things I wanted to talk about, not really sure how you're going to respond to this, so don't be angry, mate. So obviously your MMA career came to an end because of a head scan, right? Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah.
I remember something coming up at the time.
I'm gonna go. If you don't mind me, I'll take a step back and then we'll go into the head scan. Yeah. So just before the second Corey Tate fight, they do UFC trials in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right? No, just after, right? So my manager, Chris Big at the time, really nice guy, managed me from Elite MMA. He says to me, "I want you to pull out of the second fight of Corey Tate. It's pointless. You've already beat him. You've got UFC trials in Vegas. No, it's for when you go into the house." Yeah. So I'll go to Vegas. I'll take one of my Thai coaches with me. We go out there. And basically, the first round of the UFC trials is grappling match. You get paired with someone. They watch you grapple. If they feel like you're a decent level grappler, you go through to the second round. I do a grapple and I smash it, right? No, I'm telling this story wrong. Basically, I was not. So my manager said, "Don't fight Corey Tate before I fight." I end up fighting Corey Tate. Remember I got knocked out. Yeah. What happened? He threw a knee. It caught me in the eye socket and broke my eye socket. I then shut down and he hit me, but I was already sort of messed up from the eye socket. I've never been knocked out or anything. Yeah. So I had to go to hospital and they said, "You need to have eye surgery because the bone's broke and we need to put a metal plate in to redo it." So I said, "Oh, I've got UFC trials, so can we put it off?" And I was like, "Yeah, but we don't recommend you go and do UFC trials with a broken eye socket."
Yeah.
So I said, "What happens if I fly?" They go, "Well, you'll be in really lot of pain because you've got all blood build up in there." So I got some sleeping tablets and some really strong painkillers off some doctor. I knocked myself out. I went to Las Vegas and I qualified on the grappling round. I then done pads. They watch you on pads. You don't fight at this point. And I went through on that and I'm like, "Mate, all I've got to do is my interview stage." And where I'm dyslexic, I was going to tell them how I'm dyslexic. I've used martial arts, had the story. And then they went, "No, you're not going through." I said, "You sent me through for both rounds." He said, "You got a loss on your last fight." And that's when I took that Corey Tate fight that everyone said don't take. So if I didn't take the Corey Tate fight, I would have had that loss on my record. I would have been on the UFC house. Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
So going to the brain scan. So what happened? I had my last MMA fight against Petra Menga. I mostly should have retired about then. I lost the fight. I weren't hungry. I didn't even get adrenaline rush anyway. So then I thought, you know what, I'm going to have one more fight. And I meant to fight this guy who's basically, we call him a can, not very good record. I thought, I have this fight, one more, and I'm going to retire. And he pulls out. I know we want what story we want here. So I then get offered Val Moneto, my good friend and brother.
Do you know what? I didn't even think about that. I wasn't even thinking about that. But yeah,
right,
yeah.
So I get offered that, and I'm like, maybe. And so now the Val, I'm gonna give my side of the story. It's like knowing Cam's thing, he said, the reason he didn't like me because Neto didn't like me, but the timelines didn't add up on that either, because I never knew of Neto until we had, it was like the ADC or something in Birmingham, not like the official one, like a small one. And Neto was there, and Paul Bridges was there, and we had a grappling no-gi tournament. And I was something like Masters 2 at the time. And then Neto came into Master 2, but it worked out because of his age, he couldn't do Master 2. And me being a bit of a joker, goes up to Neto and goes, look at you trying to get an older Greek to get an easier route. And I don't think he understood what I meant. I think he took it a bit seriously. Like, but anyway, Neto goes down an age bracket, fights adult, and smashes everyone and wins. I think I took silver. So that was our first sort of interaction. But this is way after the Cam fight, the first one, anyway. So then, with the South End sub-only comp, Neto puts his name down, so I put my name down. So we're going to fight them, and I turn up, and Neto's got an injury, and he's like, look, I can't fight, cool. We have a bit of banter again. Nothing like a bit of winding each other up. And then on the UCMA, Neto wins his fight, and he goes, I want to fight Spencer. I'm calling him out, sort of thing. I don't remember the exact words. And he says, I'll show you who's the real black belt. I was like, so me being me, fiery, and Neto's the same, as you know, we both sat there. I'm like, is he calling me a fake black belt? And I just got all like, rah, I said, fuck it, let's fight. So I've done my training camp for it. Neto went and fought in India and stuff. And then when he come back, I think he had an injury or something, so he couldn't take the fight. And I'd done like an 8-week training camp. And because he said something personal to me, well, I thought was personal, I was like furious. And I went on Facebook and called him out and all this stuff. So there was like this locker's head. But the funny thing is, everyone in the jiu-jitsu community were coming up to me going, Neto's a really cool guy, man. Used to would actually get on. I don't know why used to are at each other. I'm like, I'm not sure. So cut a long story short, he got injured, so the fight didn't happen. And then I'm at Polaris, and Neto fought on Polaris as well. And I see him there, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to confront him on all this. And he sees me, and he goes, oh, do you want to fight now? And I was like, yeah, cool. Like this. We had like this little thing. And he's like, no. He goes, and he said to me, he goes, listen, it was all for the cameras, and listen, I got no issue. And I was like, cool. And then we fight, I think it's on the English Open, me and Neto have a no-gi match. And we have a really good match. I try and cartwheel past his guard, and eventually he gets me in a knee bar. And we're cool, And afterwards I said, look, maybe we should train together sometime. And this is pretty mad. So he invites me on this is at a Wednesday. We do Poor Harder Wednesday. So this is at a Wednesday start. So Neto invites me, and there's a few other guys there. I remember driving there thinking, like, man, me and him have had all these issues and stuff. His whole team's going to be there. I'm going to be there on my own. Like, they could just fucking all smash me. And I was like, oh, mate, I'm still going. If they kill me, they kill me. I'm going, man. Like, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? I've said I'm going to go. I'll go. And I got there. We all rolled. And we had a really good roll. And then he's like, let's do this every Wednesday. And it started. And then we become friends. All right, so actually, let me carry on with this story, and I'll go back to the bleed on the brain. So me and Neto become really good friends. I start training with him, and the Wednesday things happen. I get introduced to all you guys, and we train in together. And my jiu-jitsu starts improving an awful lot. But at the same time, I'm still under Mark Walder. Mark Walder used to do a Friday black belt. All the black belts used to meet up on a Friday, and he cancelled that. So then all my training was done with you guys. And then Mark's decided to take the club more self-defense. And Neto said to me, listen, he goes, you're always competing. You're one of the few British guys who's older anyway. You're a black belt, older. You're always competing. But, you know, like if you think about joining Chetmat, we'll give you the support and all that stuff. So I went home and I was like, it's one of the hardest questions for myself. So I've been with Mark like 17 years or whatever it was. He was my original instructor. And I was like, I want to be loyal to my instructor. But at the same time, I asked myself one question. Do I stay loyal to my instructor at the time, or do I stay loyal to the dream? And the dream was always to win medals at the World Championships and everything else in Jiu-Jitsu. I knew if I went to Chetmat, with the network and the coaching and stuff, I would have a much higher chance, which this year I took a bronze at the no-gi world. And I knew if I stayed with Mark, who's going self-defense and everything else, my dream would have to be put on hold. So I chose my dream, and it was the best decision I ever did. Part of being Chetmat, you know, I'd go down to Fight Zone. I trained with you guys at VN Team, and my jiu-jitsu's gone through the roof. It really, really has. I got my second degree with you guys. Taking a step back, you was talking about the bleed on the brain. So what happened? At the time I was training for the Neto fight, which he pulled out. But then they got me a replacement, Phil Harris.
Yeah.
And Phil Harris, you know, he's a physical beast.
UFC, yeah.
Judo, yeah, on UFC. Also a judo, real powerful grips. Like before I was fighting him, I already got told how powerful he is and everything else in grips. So I started at London shoot. I made the mistake of overtraining. So what I was doing, I was sparring a lot at London shoot, and them guys are killers, man. Like, it's 100% sparring. Like, them guys are beasts, you know. Virtually everyone I was sparring was like 30-0, 8-0, Amir, all them guys. But when I was going back to my gym, I was sparring my guys as well. All right, so I'm now sparring like 3 times at shoot, 3 times at my gym, half. So that's 6 sparring sessions a week.
Yeah.
And I remember driving home from London shoot one day, and I got pins and needles in my face and down my arm. I was like, fuck, driving. So I went to sleep that night, and I woke up with the worst headache in the head. And I've never had migraines and stuff, but it felt like my head was exploding. And I looked at my missus and I said, we need to go to hospital. And she went, it's a headache. I said, no, something's wrong. So we go to the hospital. They do a brain scan thing. I can't remember which. It wasn't an MMR.
Like CT scan.
They've done a brain scan. Yeah, that's the one they did. So they've done a CT scan. They come back, and the guy comes in and said, "We've got some bad news. You got to bleed on the brain," and walks off. Right. The guy didn't come back for 2 hours. Right. So he told me I got to bleed on the brain, and that's it. Let's leave me. So you know, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna Google this shit. So Googling it is the worst thing about. Yeah, they cut your skull open and all this and that. Fucking hell. So me being me, I better let my opponent know, because I'm like that. So I ring up Dave. Ain't fine, got bleed on the brain. So the guy comes back and goes, yeah, you got bleed on the brain. I was like, you have operation? He said, listen, you can't take no impact. We're going to keep you in overnight, and then we send you home tomorrow. So I couldn't do nothing physical, drive cars, nothing for months on end. So then when I go back, I think it was 3 months later for the checkup, they said it's all healed completely. And the guy said, if you really wanted to go back, you mostly could go back to MMA a year later. And I was like, mate, I'm done. That scared me a lot. So then I started going, then I was like, I'm one of them people, I need a challenge in life. Otherwise, I just go insane. So I was like, I need to put my energy into something. I'm like, I'm going to go back to competing in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And I went back to competing in jiu-jitsu, and it has filled that hole for me. It really has filled that hole.
Because we got 2 minutes before we got to flick on to our next live feed. So I'll give you 120 seconds to answer this question. What is your favourite and best fight in your MMA career, and why?
Right, it's going to be the Corey Tate knockout. No one gave me a chance. Right, he beat Nathan Baer in the weight above at, I think, light feather, and he was the bantamweight champion. So he's a 2-weight champion. Knocked everyone out. He done the Anderson Silva kick before Anderson Silva, so everyone was saying, like, this kid's really special. He's the next Anderson Silva and all this stuff. And even people that I knew said, mate, this kid's dangerous. I don't think you should take this fight. I know people that train with him. They say he does things that's unbelievable. And then I trained for it, and it was over. I think the fight was in February, so I trained over Christmas. I didn't have a Christmas. I trained over Christmas. A guy called Martin Joseph, because a lot of people didn't want to train over Christmas. He come in and helped me. He was a kickboxing guy, and he does a lot of spinning kicks. Another guy called Dan, he done taekwondo. So I brought in a lot of spinning, like, taekwondo guys, because that's what Corey Tate's special. And I prepared absolutely perfect. And I remember I had a dream before a fight that I had a snake on my arm, and I killed the snake. It's like, what's that all about? So I've done my research, and when you kill a snake, it means you're going to win in battle. And I was like, I'm going to win this fight, 100%. And I just knew. On the night, the prep, I just knew I was going to win that fight, and no one else thought I was going to win. And when I knocked him out, it sort of put my name out there, and it got me a load of exposure. I can't remember driving through Dagenham one day. I was at a traffic light.
You got 20 seconds, mate.
And I was a bit...
Sorry.
I was a bit fiery, and this guy looks at me. I said, what are you looking at, mate? Being me. He goes, no, I see you on UCMA. He was on Sky C5. Oh, sorry, man. Sorry, mate. So I come across, like, I was a bit...
Let's carry this on the next one. So, guys, we're going to crack on to the next one. So I'll end this one and we'll go.
Right, so he just jumps onto the next one, does it? Do I stay online?
Cutting off just as the good parts are coming. Typical. Came to an abrupt end. There he is.
Right.
There he's back. Yeah, sorry, mate. It just after an hour, it just cuts off, and then that's it.
No, no worries. So I get the knockout. At the time, UCMA was still doing something fighter. It was still on Sky Sports, so I had all the Sky Sports views. So locally, I was like a little celebrity. Like I said, I was pulled up traffic lights. People would stare at me. I'm like, "What are you looking at?" Like, "Oh no, I see you on UCMA and all stuff like this."
Yeah.
So and then I'd go to the UCMA events, and like he'd have the big screen and show the highlights. It always showed that highlight.
Yeah.
And people I can have a picture and all that. So I like that. And but the downside to that was once I got that knockout, I wanted to knock everyone out because of the attention I got. So then I started trying to knock everyone out, and I didn't train the same way. And so even though it was my greatest win,
yeah,
it set my career back a little bit. I've become overly confident in one aspect of my life, my hands. And when you look for the knockout, it never comes. And I started looking just the other week. I looked at some of my older fights after Corey Tate fight. And I'm on my back foot waiting for people to move just to land a big shot. Like, you look at my early fights, I'm in people's faces, throwing strikes, taking them down. And so it was the best thing and worst thing at the same time for me, career-wise.
That's interesting. One of the other things I wanted to ask you, actually, was the going back to the brain scan thing and the retiring from MMA, because obviously it was such a massive part of your life. How did that mentally affect you? How did you find that played on your psyche and everything?
Do you know what? I've had lots of things to deal with. So I had the brain thing. Like I don't spar MMA or anything no more. I'm 42 this year. I've had a bleed on the brain in the past. I don't want to take no more blows to the head. It makes zero sense. I had a scare. And you know what? Since I've stopped getting blows to the head from MMA, my memory's got better again. Okay. So I've always had a great memory. Like, I'll be able to watch a film and remember it, like everything in it 5 years later. Yeah. In my MMA career, towards the end, I couldn't remember films and stuff. But since I've stopped doing all the MMA, getting hard sparring, it's all coming back to me. Like, my memory's great again. So, yeah, that's a big plus. And like when I first started going back to jiu-jitsu, like even not like some people accidentally knee you in the face or elbow you. I still had to be careful. You know, 3 months ago I only had a bleed in the brain, so I had to come back gradually. Yeah. Not do competition straight away. And I tell you, I hear a lot of guys in MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you see them get frustrated. Oh, I've got to have 6 months out. Or, I've got this injury. I've got this injury. It comes with the territory. Like if you're going to compete at a high level, especially through the ages, you're going to deal with some injuries, and you have to rehab them properly. Like one of the hardest ones, I don't know if you can see, I've got a big scar running through. Yeah. Okay, I was training for a fight against Scott Pauley. It was going to be a Cage Warriors at the Copper Box, and I threw a body shot at someone. I caught the elbow and I snapped my bicep in. Unbelievable pain. Like, you feel like I'm going to throw up. And I went to see my physio, who's a fantastic physio, Phil Sadler. I didn't bother going to hospital because I know what hospitals do, painkillers, blah, blah, blah. He said, you snap your biceps in. He goes, the problem with that is if you don't get it reattached, it will attach up here. Then you've got to take a tendon out of your leg to put up here. So I went to the NHS and they're like, mate, you're going to wait 4 months. I'm like, well, it attach up there, then I've got to have a big operation. So I don't know what to do. So I ended up getting a loan for £4,000 and going private. So
ludicrous.
That was carry on to do jiu-jitsu and my sport and everything else. Yeah. So I just got a loan, paid for it, had the operation. And they put my arm in a plaster cast, and my arm went to that thin. And I remember when I got the plaster cast, the doctor said, "Can you turn your arm?" And this was me. Turn your bicep. I couldn't even lift my bicep. And I thought, if I can't curl my arm or do a bicep, how am I ever going to fight again? Yeah. This is fine. Yeah. I just gradually done the exercises, make 5 kilo dumbbell, 10 pull-ups. And your body, at the time you think, there's no way I'm coming back from this. But you always do. You'll find a way.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. That's it. You'll just have to find a way and deal with these injuries and challenges of life. You know, like we're all moaning about lockdown and stuff like that. It's just another challenge. You know, we're all in the same boat. The whole world's in the same boat.
Yeah.
It's about dealing with it, you know, and make it your reality. Yeah, exactly. You know, we ain't got it. There's people fighting in the hospital with it.
Yeah.
Or losing loved ones. You know, I class myself. People moaning about. Actually, I class myself quite lucky. I'm in lockdown and I'm healthy. And I've got food and roof over my head. You know.
Just gonna turn the light on because it's a bit dark in here. One sec.
No worries. Let me turn my light on as well.
You can see my pretty face. That's a bit better.
Right, I'm back.
Getting dark outside, mate. Do you know what? So transitioning now from the MMA part of your life, which I could actually talk to you about for hours, but I can't. Yeah.
Because you was there, you was around, mate. In the scene. You were coaching guys. I fought some of your guys.
Yeah. Well, I had guys that fought some of your guys, and a lot of the shows you were on, exactly. We were in the same change room and bits and bobs. So yeah, I could talk to you about it for hours, but to make it as interesting as possible, as a broad spectrum for information, I've got to try and get like your martial arts life story condensed into an hour and a half. It's impossible because martial arts guys have the best stories.
Yeah,
and I know you've got some of the funniest stories.
There's lots of crazy stories as well, but they did deep. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So moving on from mixed martial arts onto Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So you came out of the mixed martial arts, obviously started training Jiu-Jitsu, came over to Checkmat as well. And what one of the things I wanted to say, actually personal thing from me to you, mate, and I'm glad I get a chance to do it live because I've wanted to say it for a while, but I have like a tremendous respect for you, mate. Like without making this really brown nosy, and I have a tremendous respect for you changing from team to another team, and even as a black belt, putting yourself out and competing. Because Neto was right with what he says. Not many black belts of any nationality actually were competing that much because everyone's so scared about losing and looking bad, and you know. I think they've got gyms and studios and stuff, and lots of students.
You hit the nail on the head. I think a lot of people worry what their students are going to think if you're an instructor.
But
the more I compete, the more knowledge I get to pass back to my students.
Exactly.
And it also keeps the game current, you know.
Exactly.
Like, let's say I stopped competing, I weren't staying current, you know, my jiu-jitsu would be out of date.
Yeah.
You know, and
but that's the beauty of what the reason why I have so much respect for you, because not only were you putting yourself out there and competing, you also came to you know, what seemed to be like a rival person's gym. You put yourself out there training with him, training with myself, training with lots of other people, and you kept coming back and you kept training, and then you became like a valuable member of the team. So yeah, I've said this to Neto in private, and I've said this to a lot of other guys. Like I have like a real deep respect for you, mate, for what you've done and how you've changed. Like I've seen your jiu-jitsu game go like from there to just through the roof, mate.
Yeah.
From week to week.
It is that, like, Neto said something to me just before I came over to me, and Neto said to me, "You're one of the hardest working jiu-jitsu people that I meet."
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But at the time, I weren't getting the results, and I didn't have the team unit with me, which I have now. You know, like them Wednesdays we train with, and the feedback that Neto gives me is like unbelievable. And even another big thing is like when you go to competition, you know, Neto's there to coach you. Like I know I'm instructing myself, but I need someone to tell me. Or I remember even though he couldn't make the Europeans, I had a great fight and I dominated the guy, I just didn't score the points. And he rang me up straight away. Send me the video. I want to have a look. And he gave me all the feedback. And I was like, constructive criticism and some positives. And he's like, you should have won that fight. You was a better jiu-jitsu guy than him, but you didn't score even advantages. And I've learned one thing. I really have like a lot of respect for Neto for me. He took me in, like we had our rivalry, and he explained to me, like I'm a fighter, okay, because I like fighting. Sometimes I didn't play the jiu-jitsu game. And, you know, Neto talks about you've got to play the game. You've got to play the rules. You've got to score the points when you need. You don't have to go out there and sub everyone. So I've now learned, if I'm doing sub only, I'll just go out and try and tap people. If if I'm doing sports jiu-jitsu, I play the game.
Yeah.
And it paid. When I've done the Worlds this year, my first match was the weight division below guy, but he was the current key world champion at Masters 3. And I played the game. It's the first time I beat him on thinking only an advantage, but I played the game.
Yeah.
And I know people go, oh, I only won an advantage, or he beat me on an advantage. Sometimes a win is a win and a loss is a loss. And one of the things that I'm really putting, like, obviously I've got the new gym opening, and I'm trying to make my gym the best gym in Essex, the best academy, which in competition and that we're doing, like, we're really doing well. But now we've got the square space. We're going to have over 100 square meters of mats. And it comes, like, people talk, oh, I'm this good or that good. It comes down to results.
Yeah.
Are you performing? Are you getting results? If not, you need to review it and change it. And
but the thing is, mate,
no, Jetman has definitely brought my game up so much. All of you guys, from Muscat to you to Dan, like, there is no easy roles. Like, everyone's. And I remember when I first come over here, and this is where I think a lot of black belts go wrong. Okay, they have a black belt instructor and they go somewhere to train. And there's different levels at different clubs. And you'll get a black belt who will roll with, let's say, a world-class purple belt, and this purple belt gives him a bloody hard time. And now he don't want to roll anymore. He's like, oh, a black belt and a purple belt gave me a hard time in front of him. He's now put his game backwards because he's scared to roll. If I go with a purple belt and he gets, like, especially if we're similar weight, like Mosquito's a great example for that. Or I've got Jason on my gym, or Christian. Them guys push me as purple belts. I love sparring them guys because if they do tap me, oh well, what are they going to do? Put on social media, tap the player. Who cares? Yeah. It's about my journey and getting better and being better as a coach. But I'm not going to hide behind that belt.
But mate, that's what sets you apart. Like, this is what I'm trying to say. So that's what sets you apart. So putting yourself in another gym and learning as a black belt, who was nearly, by the way, nearly 2 stripes black belts. You've been training all that time. And you were still willing to learn, pick all the new stuff up and start. Not many people do that. And that's why I have a really tremendous amount of respect for you, mate.
Two places, I go to Netto a lot, and I go to Fight Zone a lot. Both them gyms have got, like, world champion purple belts and brown belts. And if you took a club level black belt who don't compete, these purple belts will run through them. Like, will run through them. I class myself as a competition. I've medalled at the Worlds and European, so I class myself as sort of world level. I'm not a world champion, but I'm world level for my weight. But I love going to Fight Zone and testing my skills against these young up-and-comers. Now, I could easily go, I'm a black belt, I'm 42 years old, I'm going to sit on the side. I like that challenge. I like that progression, you know. And, you know, the day you stop trying to progress and push, there's always a new challenge, a new goal, and that's why I get up every morning.
Yeah, mate. And like I said, I take my hat off to you, mate. Like, it's amazing to have you part of the team. Danny put on there as well. It's great to have you part of the team. So I don't want to say too much, mate, because you'll end up, your head will go like this.
You know, the funny one. Dan knows this. So, like, me and Neto, once we started talking, we got on very well. We're very similar. Both very fiery in lots of different ways. And it, like, if Neto rung me and said, I've got a problem, I'd drive around there now. And I know you guys would all do the same. We're very tight. But Dan was I think Dan was a bit suspicious. Like, why is Spencer coming over after all that happened? And it took a while with Dan. But now me and Dan are really close. Like, I talk to him mostly the most out of everyone, to be honest. But Dan's a bit like me. I like to get to know people before I open up, because I don't know what your sense of humour like. I don't know what your agenda is. Notice sometimes you meet them people like larger-than-life characters. Most of the time, them people are very fake, because how can you be larger than life to someone you don't know? Like, I could just meet you and say something to really offend you, because I don't know your personality type or what your humour is. So Dan's a bit like me, but like now me and Dan get each other. Like, me and him are really tight as well. And I think everyone is, from you, Muscat.
We're very lucky, you know, because we've got a close group of guys that we message each other and stuff. So.
We've got our group, and even jiu-jitsu, it don't just end with, oh, let's leave the club. We all go down the pub and we socialise and we talk. We have a Christmas get-together. And we have good banter, but we don't ever cross the line. And I think it's a really nice team network. And what I've look like what I want to put into my club as well is we've got all the Checkmat single clubs. So you've got me, we've got Neto, we've got Fight Zone. But we're all under the same goal. So when we go to like the Europeans, Checkmat want to be the #1 team, which we have been for 4 or 5 years. But it's all our clubs together working for the one goal. So you take it like each fighter wins a medal or competes, puts into the club, then puts into the bigger picture, which goes into the overall Checkmat Europe or world. And like I've been to Checkmat in America, which is, like, I think you've been there as well.
I haven't. No, that's my one place I haven't been that I want to go. That's my next stop.
The first time I went was I popped in there, like I weren't doing a proper training camp. I was going to Vegas, and I thought I'd drop to California and go. But I'd only just come to Checkmat, and I still had a Gracie Barra tattoo here, right? And I said to Mum, Checkmat, but when it was no gi, they could see the Gracie Barra tattoo, and I think, like, this guy ain't really Checkmat. So it was good, it was all right. And then I went again a few years later, well, this year, 2009,
yeah, I remember,
last year, for the Worlds, and I trained out there, and then it was a whole different. They knew I was Checkmat, and then I trained there for free. Leo was like a gentleman. They showed great techniques. Jackson D'Souza was there. There was loads of cool guys, Buchecha, and it was just good network. I was part of the family. And I remember offering to pay. I was like, "No, you're Checkmat. Don't worry." I remember after the no-gi Worlds, I said, when I competed at the Worlds, Leo Vero come over to coach me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, man, the guy, he's an ADC legend.
Yeah.
And he's coaching me at the Worlds. Like, this is unreal.
Yeah.
And I went back to the gym. And then after the no-gi Worlds, it all went back to gi. And I wanted to train, but I didn't bring a gi because it was the no-gi Worlds. And he just come up to me and went, "Here's a gi, man." I said, "How much do you want?" He said, "No, I have it, man. On me." And I was like, do you get what I mean? Like, they're not just about, it ain't just all about the money, do you know what I mean? And that's another thing. I'm not going to name names, but some clubs are very money orientated. Like when Checkmat do a seminar, like for us, it's so cheap. You know, them seminars could be 100 quid, 80 quid. When we go and train together, there's no one charging. Like when it's like we're the street jiu-jitsu, the Frela jiu-jitsu. We're not rich jiu-jitsu. You don't have to come and pay 400 quid membership.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. We're close as a team, actually. Aren't we? We're all chipping in, helping together. Really,
like, I think since I've joined Checkmat, the amount of people I've trained with, Leo Canuto, Jackson D'Souza, Leo Vieira, I could go on and on and on.
Pico.
Yeah.
So that takes me on, actually, because obviously you ventured more into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You've done a lot of no-gi fights. I've seen that. Obviously being a teammate of yours, you've been doing a lot of no-gi. What made you push towards no-gi or going to gi? Actually, we'll take me on to a different question. First of all, what do you prefer competing in, gi or no-gi?
Okay, I prefer competing in no-gi. My favourite is sub only.
Yeah.
And I think as a sport, if jiu-jitsu wants to go more mainstream, the sub only as a fan is like, you got a guy just going for subs and attacking takedowns compared to an IBJF match, which I do and I do love. Yeah. And they do grow the sport. But you got to remember, the IBJF rules were set up, especially the point system. They're looking back like years ago. No, like the mount gives you the most points. The back gives you the most points. Why? Because if it was a street fight, it'd be the most dominant, right?
Yeah.
But sub only don't care about all the position. It's just looking for the sub, so it's much more exciting, And you got IBJF where people win on advantage. I've won on advantage. It's about playing the game.
Yeah.
But as a spectator watching, you look at some of the sub only fights. They're amazing. And the UK are doing like Polaris, Figure 4, Battle Grapple, Pathon. There's so many great grappling. And I've been lucky enough. I thought, and this is another. I really want to mention this as well. Is I'm 41 years old. I'm still getting invited to fight on Polaris. I was offered to fight on Polaris, as not everyone knows, but I'm going to say it ain't happened. Before coronavirus shut down, Nathaniel Wood's opponent pulled out. So I was going to fight Nathaniel Wood on Polaris at short notice. At 41, I get to fight Nathaniel Wood, an up-and-coming UFC star.
Yeah.
Like, I take them opportunities. I've got nothing to lose. And at 40, I fought on Polaris, And from that, I got my Shoei roll sponsor. You know, a guy called Haz and Luke Jarvis made that happen for me. You know what? Like, I've always wanted a big sponsor, all through my MMA career, all through my jiu-jitsu career. And at 41, I get my dream sponsor. Like, and that's what I'm saying. You got to keep going, because you never know when the door's going to open for you.
You can't give up.
No, I'm still going to be fighting on Polaris at my age. I'm sure they're going to put me on the next one. And they know, like, if they ring me up to fight someone, I'm going to come to fight. So I do love sub-only. And you look at some of the UK guys, I think a lot of the UK guys have gone more sub-only. Like, I know you've got Jay Butler coming on soon.
Yeah.
You've got Ashley Williams, man. Like, he's a stud on the UK scene. Bradley Hill. There's like, if I miss any of you top grapplers out, I apologize. There's so many, you know, and look at Fifon. Like, do you know what I mean? She's smashing it. You've got some Great Britain. You've got some real top grapplers, and a lot of them are going sub-only now. And there's also money to be made in sub-only.
Yeah.
You know, which there weren't before, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So yes, but I do love training the gi, and I will compete in the gi.
Yeah.
The main reason I compete in the gi is to say, like, there's like there's a gi and no gi season. I don't know if let's with the IBJF and the UAE. The first part of the year is very gi, and then towards the end, like, it's the Pan Am no gis, and the Worlds are all December. So I like to use the gi to stay sharp.
Yeah.
And if I'm an instructor, I should be good in a gi and no gi. I think you should be good in both. So I teach both.
Which, if you had the choice then, and you had to compete either IBJJF or UAE at JJ, which one would it be?
IBJJF.
Yeah.
The UAE one,
the ranking system,
I do like their new rules, but like the day before weigh-in and stuff don't suit me because I'm very small for my weight.
Yeah.
When we went to Neto, Mosquito, we went to the one in Abu Dhabi. Over there, their guys, they weren't. I'm talking the guys from Abu Dhabi. They weren't technically superior jiu-jitsu guys, but their weight cut. They used the local professional football club to do a weight cut, and them guys were cutting like 8 kilos, saunering. They was massive, and they was just physically bigger and stronger. They weren't actually technically that great, but they exploited that day before weigh-in.
Yeah.
And fair play to them. It's in the rules. But where I fight IBJF and more, I didn't play to them. Like, well, I couldn't put on that much weight anyway, so I would have had to go right down the weight division. So I prefer the IBJF. I do think the running of the competition, the UAE, like when they do the Grand Slams, amazing. It's amazing the way they run that. I do love that. And
to be honest, I like the what I like about the IBJF is obviously the ranking system and how it plays. It's been such a big part of the sport for such a long time. I like the UAE setup and their ranking system where you can obviously go on smooth comp.
That's very clever.
But
that's good.
I prefer that. The whole sort of day before weigh-ins kind of ruins it a little bit. I mean, it's funny because I never thought about it from someone's perspective like yourself. Like for me, because I fight middle heavy or heavyweight, it doesn't really bother me the day before weigh-in.
Yeah.
But like for someone like yourself, I never really thought about it. It makes such a big difference.
Like I'm really, like, if I really wanted to be strict in jiu-jitsu, I would fight at Rooster, which is like 55.5, which I would make. But at black belt, I ain't gonna get no matches.
Yeah.
Like it's hard, it's hard enough to get matches. Masters 3, black belt, 57 kilos. So I'll go up and fight at the 64, and I hang there and I do well. But if you're now doing the day before weight, and these guys are actually 70 kilos, and I'm actually about 61, 62. And I know people go, jiu-jitsu weight don't matter. When you're both black belts and you're really high level, everything matters.
Yeah.
You know, it's even if they ain't got no skills.
So what?
What's
your favourite fight then at black belt? Who's been your favourite opponent or your favourite match that springs to mind that you've had?
I think the reason IBJF, the no gi worlds beating the gi world champion, that was like, it made me believe as well, because when you go there, like a lot of the guys are from America, and I'm like, am I good enough to compete at the world championships against the best in the world? And then when I beat a gi world champion, I'm like, okay, I can win this. Do you get what I mean? It gives me belief. So that was that. And then in no gi, I fought on Pathin and I fought Rico. I mostly pronounced his name wrong. I'm terrible with pronouncing names. And it was a draw, but it was a very, very good match. It was a really good match. And I really enjoyed that match. I was hitting some heel hooks. He escaped. It was quite a lot going on.
What about your favourite person you've ever trained with, either in a seminar, whether it's from the same team or different team? Who's been your favourite person you've ever trained with or sparred with?
Okay. I know I'm only meant to say one. So obviously Neto brought me into the whole team, and some of the stuff like when he stands on his head and changes position is unbelievable. Yeah. But one person that is Gabby. Gabby from Chetmat. Gabby
Fletcher.
Yeah. Yeah. I sparred her the first time she come over, and she just destroyed me. She's the only person who was lighter than me, who technically beat I was like, wow. And I know some guys will be like, oh, she's listen, forget female and all that. She trashed me the first time. Second time we rolled, we had a much more competition roll, but she beat me with pure technique, and that's what I love about that. She weren't physically stronger, bigger, more athletic. It was just pure technique, and I was like, wow. And I've trained with some other great people as well. Technically wise, being passed on knowledge for me, Neto and Marco Canyon at Fight Zone, I've picked up a lot from both them two. They're two of the best coaches around. They really are. Yeah. I've learned so much from them. They've developed my game awfully.
Yeah, I agree, mate.
And I've learned a lot from coaching from them as well.
Yeah. Well, how would you mean?
Not just technique. I look at some of the ways they explain things, how they add details, and how they explain it. So, I think as a coach, you're always learning as well, and I think it's good to take ideas from other people. Yeah. I like the way you teach that or explain that. I don't see myself as an instructor. I see myself as a coach. I'm here to develop and mentor my students to reach their goals and achieve what they possibly can do. And one thing I'm really installing into the new academy is jiu-jitsu is a very solo sport when you compete. But Brazilian jiu-jitsu is mostly one of the most team sports you have, because if you ain't got a partner, you ain't we've all been on isolation. How hard is it? How good's our jiu-jitsu been getting if you ain't got someone to train with? It's a team sport. Yeah. Yeah, we all grow together. The better your sparring partner gets, you get. And then there's that I believe there's a fine balance between, you need to train hard, but you can't train hard all the time, or you're just going to get injured. You know, same as when you compete. You can't go overly aggressive, but you can't be over aggressive, you're going to make mistakes. But not being aggressive, you're going to. So I think it's all about balance across the board. So confidence, don't be overconfident, otherwise you have arrogance and then you'll make mistakes. Everything's about balancing the line in your team, that we bounce off each other, you grow, you have hard spars, you have relaxed spars. And one thing I've learned as an instructor, years ago when I used to spar, we all had it. You'd get someone come in to your new club and they'd go a bit ballistic, and then you think, I'm going to roll him, I'm going to smash him. I don't do that no more, because what happens? You actually lose students. The guy's new to it, he don't understand. You're better off sitting down to explain to him and say, listen, you've got to learn to relax, do this, and educate people. Because me, and I'm sure we all went a bit stiff and strong when we first started. It's natural for human beings to do that. It don't mean they're being malicious. Yeah,
I agree completely. With that being said, obviously bringing this to a close, we obviously, for those that don't know, you've got your new gym opening. Whereabouts is that going to be? What's it called? How can they follow you on social media? Give us the whole rant, mate.
Okay, follow me on here's one of them. I'm on here the most. Instagram, BJJ Hewitt. I have a website as well. Just type in Origin MMA Academy or Chetmat Essex. The new studio, we're still going to be doing lots of MMA, but the studio is going to be a much more chilled out vibe. It's going to have Fuji grey mats, all light colour, and we're going to have yoga in there as well. And I'm obviously going to be teaching mace training. We're going to have jiu-jitsu classes morning, day, and night. We're going to have a lot more classes. We've got a great Thai instructor, Simon Batty. We've got my brother who does the boxing. We've got a really strong team. So it's in Rainham, Essex, Sutton's Business Park. And when we open, I'm going to invite everyone down. You know, the first week is going to be free for everyone to come down. And we're going to do a grand opening, and all the Checkmat guys and everyone will be there. And I'm so excited about the new academy. It's still, the work's going on there now because builders are allowed to still go on site.
Yeah.
So what is really crazy about this is I started in like a bar room. It was a bar social hall with black mats. So the social hall, we used to have to sweep the wooden floor before these crappy black mats because there's broken glass on there, right? And I started with 4 students, right? I had 4 students. And sometimes only 2 students would turn up. And my rent was 30 quid. So Sundays, I paid the rent. So I was working in retail, teaching and fighting MMA all pretty much at the same time. So it works out. This bar room is where I'm going back to now. The difference is it's no longer a bar. We've cleared the whole room out. And it's over 100 square meters of Fuji lovely mats. But when we had it, it was a social arts with a bar, chairs around it, some crappy black mats. So I'm going back from where I originally started, but on 110 square meter mat. So it's dead opposite where my academy is now. And the reason I'm moving, people have been going, oh, your classes are so busy, really busy, you need to move. It's all right, everyone else telling you to do that. Like, the overheads and rents is so much more. You're a gym owner yourself. So I had to get to the stage where I've got enough regular members that I can pay the rent for a bigger studio. We're there now. And the people and the team that I produced from the MMA team from back in the day with Johnny Williams and Makunga and Kois and Dan Lawson, all these great guys winning titles and everything else. And the jiu-jitsu guys that I have now who, you know, I've got really good purple belts winning all-stars and Europeans. And that all started in a little bar room and then went to a small, you've been to my studio. My studio is tiny. Like, it's mostly about 35 square meters.
You know.
But it shows you, it ain't about the premises, it's about the coaching staff you have and you as a coach. And now I'm going to have the premises to match the coaching that I have to develop more talent. And that's what I love. There's nothing more than as a coach when you develop someone and you see them achieve what they want to achieve. Like, man, I celebrate like I'm winning. When my guys win, like I'm all emotional and all that. Calm, relaxed coach, good coach. And I'm very proud to be a good, like I think I'm a better coach than what I am as a fighter. You know, I think, you know, I'm passionate about jiu-jitsu and I'm passionate about coaching, and I'm always analysing my team's performance. And if my team, we've done a comp about a year or 2 ago, and my team didn't do very well. So I didn't, like, instead of blaming, oh, you didn't do this, did I? I just looked at like, I'm the coach. My team didn't do well. I'm not either giving the right message across. I'm not explaining things properly. And I sat my team down. I said, listen, I don't want all this crap posting up on Instagram and all that. Oh, I took a bronze medal when it was a default bronze medal. I don't want any of that.
Yeah.
And I was hard on him, but I was even harder on myself. Like, I need to analyse my team's performance and why we didn't get a great result. I analysed it, went back. The following 3 comps, we smashed it. All my guys were taking gold or silver. Like most comps, I put out 8 guys and we'd take 7 golds. But that was only because I had to be brutally honest and own the mistakes as a coach. It's very easy to blame fighters. Oh, he didn't listen. He didn't do this. You're the coach, and it's down to you to make sure your fighters listen to you as a leader, and you listen to them as well, because some students have good feedback. Nice.
What's the finishing now? What would be your advice to everybody that's stuck at home with this time that they have now when they're not able to train to keep themselves mentally
strong? It's all about staying focused. Okay, so I noticed first when we're locked down, kind of everyone's doing all their Instagram workouts, all that, and then they sort of die off a bit. It's very easy to train when you feel motivated and want to do it. The key is to do it when you don't want to do it. It's got to be like brushing your teeth, right? If you get up and don't brush your teeth, mate, there's something wrong with you. Right? You get up and brush your teeth. You get up every day.
I was waiting for that. You get up every day. After it. Something wrong.
No, nothing great.
Stinky breath, mate. Yeah,
definitely, mate. If you don't brush your teeth, there's something wrong with you. So literally, Let's see what Neto put on the thing.
Yeah, you're filthy.
That sounded about right.
Yeah.
So literally, is you get up, like, and don't be getting up 12 in the afternoon, 1 in the afternoon. I'm still getting up at 7 a.m. I do my yoga, I do all my stretching. If I don't feel like doing it, I still do it. I do have downtime. I play Call of Duty and stuff like that with a lot of my team. That's my downtime. I obviously done that MACE course. I got qualified while I'm quarantined. I made something constructive out of it.
Yeah.
Instructionals. And you've just got to embrace it. It is what it is. Whinging and crying about it ain't going to make it go away. So embrace it, get on with it. It's all about mindset. So everyone stay at home, stay safe. And yeah.
Brilliant.
Thanks for your time tonight. It's been awesome.
Thank you
I
so
hope
much.
I've answered some cool questions, you know.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Like I said, I could have gone on and talked to you about loads more, but it was the same thing with Cameron. I had to kind of limit us to a certain amount of time because otherwise...
Yeah, like I can't give you my life story. It just takes forever.
But, mate, thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure talking to you, mate, and I'll be catching up with you on the group.
Of course. I think this is going to be posted on YouTube as well for everyone to catch up later.
Yeah,
right?
so I just need to... What I've got to do is basically record the whole thing and then put it on YouTube. It's a painful process, but I'm not quite up to the technology at the moment. So if someone can give me an idea of how I can do it better, please do. But yeah, I'll be uploading it on YouTube as well and sending you a link and everything. So yeah, thank you so much for your time, mate. Big up.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone who come on here to listen to some crazy stories. And yeah, thank you very much. Everyone stay safe. Us.
See you soon, mate. Take care.
See you later, mate.
See you, mate.
See you later.
Bye.